Hello, how are you? We are going to start with the mouth today. We're going to do all different expressions just like we did for our eyes. Mouths can show the expression too. So let's get started and see some general rules that they apply to all of these to help us always to create a pretty straightforward lip format. We're going to start with the line of symmetry, line horizontally, and line vertically. Those are great for just being a guide because our mouths are symmetrical one to the other side. I'm lightly drawing in here a shape of a heart. The heart is going to be represented that help us draw the upper part of our lip, and then we're going to draw two cone-shaped ovals at the bottom that represents the lower lip. Okay, I do that really softly. Then we're going to put a dot on one corner beside the ovals, right on the symmetry line, and then there make sure they're balanced, and then I'm going to add one more right next to it. So there should be two dots right beside each other. I'm going to use the first one to come up and over my heart, the top part of the heart, and then let's do the line across the middle, underneath the heart shape, and then connect to the point. We're going to do the same thing with the lower part. We're going to come around to the underside of our lip where the ovals are. Okay, again, I'm doing this nice and soft. We're going to connect those two dots, and that line is going to be where it blends up to our smile line. I like to call it the dimple line. And that is the point that you usually, when you see your cheekbone, it runs right into your nose. I'm going to draw that so you can have a better understanding. All right, and so that part goes up to there. So it's right underneath our nose, very symmetrical where our lip is. All right, so now that we have those corners, I'm going to darken it up, and I'm going to shade just under the underside of our upper lip. I'm going to start darkening my line and just shade just a little bit, not the entire lip, just the underside right above the line of symmetry. And the rest is going to be super soft. The same thing for the lower part of the lip. We're going to shade just so it looks like that surface turns under. Notice where I'm shading. Okay, so it looks like the lip rolls under a little bit. Then I'm going to draw a little line here. Oftentimes there's a kind of a white separating line, and then underneath our lip is where the chin is. There's a little soft dimple. Some more can be more pronounced on some individuals more than others, but let's just make sure it's there so you know how to put it in. And then there's a dimple underneath our nose that connects where our mouth is. Very softly done. Now that we have the general ideas, now let's begin to shade using and maintaining those key elements, the heart, the three or the two ovals, and the two endpoints, okay? Those key points. All right, they're there. So now we can go back through and we can connect them to the nose and get a general idea of where each of the components are. Let's take a look at another one and see if we can also use that same format for one that's smiling with the teeth. We have the heart, we have the two ovals, and we have the corner dimples into the mouth, and then the dimple points, as I call them. All right, let's see how this will work. We have our line of symmetry horizontally and vertically. Now our mouth is open a little bit more, so our heart will be a little bit further away from our oval shapes, but the rule is still there. We always start with our heart for the upper lip and two ovals for the bottom lip. It doesn't really matter if they're close or far apart, they need to still be there, okay? All right, so let's start with our heart shape for the upper part of our lip. It's going to be a little bit wider and squished though where our heart is because our mouth is open wider. So we're going to squish down the heart a little bit. It may not be as tall because as our mouth spreads out, that heart will separate. We still have our two key side points, our dimple line, and then our end edge of our mouth line. Blend it up over our heart, back to the other side, and then we will draw in our teeth, and our mouth for our lower lip is going to have a more space. So we need to make note of that. So what we're going to do is kind of determine where our teeth is going to be and then make it lower for where our ovals will be for our lower lip. Making sure we have ample space that we want to be able to demonstrate our teeth. So let's make the mouth open, back to our points, our first point, and then the upper part of our lower lip, curve it back to our key point, and then stretch it out for our smile, especially in a smile dimple points are even more indicated, okay? It's darkening this upper line underneath our heart shape and back to that individual point over there, nice and dark. All right, that looks good. Let's darken up our lower. Indicate where our teeth is. Let's do a nice oval where our teeth will be showing through. All right. We're going to shade underneath our upper lip like we did on the closed mouth one, starting from the outer edge and shading just underneath the lip, not the whole lip. Remember, do not shade the whole lip, making sure we still see the heart, and that is a light highlighted part, okay? Darken underneath it. The smile a little bit bigger. Let's pull in the lower part of our mouth so we can tell that it is definitely more open. All right. Underside of our bottom of our lip at the bottom, and shade that as well slightly, not the whole lip, because we still want to make sure we see our ovals, as you can see there on our example, okay? Are you beginning to see the mouth open and the difference between our closed mouth? Do the underside where our chin is. This one is short. We're going to stretch this one out, so it's going to be a little bit stretched out more because our face kind of opens up when we're smiling. We're going to shade around. All right. All right, let's get back to the teeth. Again, we're not going to show the lines up through. We're just going to show the lower part of it, the contour of our tooth. Okay, and as it goes to the back, it gets shallower, so it's not as long of a line. So a long line for the first one, then it gets shorter and shorter and shorter as it follows that curve. All right, let's darken that upper lip, and then we're going to shade just slightly above the tooth, not the entire tooth. I just wanted to be able to suggest that it's behind that upper lip, so it has a little shadow on it. All right, now the inside behind the tooth, let's shade inside of the mouth, which will help the teeth pop out a little bit. We're going to darken the underside of the tooth and then shade in between the lip and the tooth. Okay, so it helps that stand out a little bit more. Indicate our points through there. Shade under the nose area with a little bit of dip where our nose would be, and let me indicate it very subtly. A lot of times when you draw a nose, you don't give that much. That might be sufficient. All right, there we go with a nice nose. Let's pull it around a little bit, and then you can see why we have that smile point, because it goes right around the nostril part there. Okay, all right. All right. Let's look at now. Let's go to an open mouth. We had it slightly open. Let's go the whole way. Our hearts and our rules for the lips are still there, our corner points. So it worked for two of them. Let's go and see if we can do it for this part. But what might we deviate from in order to get it to look like it's a more open mouth. Location of the heart and the lips might be narrower because it's more taller than wide, whereas the smile was wide. This one is taller because the mouth is open up wide in a more of a vertical position. Let's put our heart in. I'm putting it above my horizontal line for my symmetry line, and then I'm putting my ovals lower than the symmetry line so I can tell that it's going to be an open mouth. Okay, we put our points, our 2 points. They may not be as spread out because the mouth is taller. Okay, we have the bottom, it's wide and tall. Okay, our heart shape, our other points, make sure they're balanced per side. All right, and let's draw that straight up, the same rule, up and over our heart shape. Start light, and then you can always come back and darken it. And back to our end of our mouth point. Okay. As we do this, we've got to remember, if we keep maintaining the rules for it, then we should be okay. Now remember, the heart is further up, so we're going to bring that line up and make sure we indicate the underside of the heart shape and a round and back curve to our first point. Good. Now the lower one, the same rules. We're going to go up and over, still curve it. Those oval shapes still need to be there, okay? Up and over that shape on both sides, and then underneath it as well. Again, these are stretched out. And then as we feel more comfortable with it, you may darken it. But try to keep it light first until you're sure that's what you want, so you have to do less erasing. Pull out the underside of our point over there. You see how that heart shape is still there? You want to keep that highlight point. That heart shape and those ovals help keep that highlight roundness of our lip. I'm shading underneath the lip. I'm actually going to darken this one a little bit darker because it is definitely in the shadow. Notice my strokes are upward strokes, and I'm going to shade softly for the rest of the lip. We don't want it to just be completely white because we do want our heart shape to shine out as the lightest part. So we're going to do that part nice and soft, but it will have a little shading on it. Darken the whole edge now that we're comfortable with what we have. The smile points are still there. The dimple points. Alright, and I will shade a little bit around the heart shape. That really suggests that we are looking at the underside of that lip. Alright, let's go to the bottom one. Going to follow that curve. Notice I kept the shape of the oval. It even dips in, and now I'm going to shade underneath the oval, but leaving the top part of it with the highlight on it. Okay, take your time and you can shade it, and then it makes the lip look fuller and not flat, more 2D than 3D. Throw the tongue across the bottom of it. Just show a suggested curve will be sufficient for right now. All right, and then remember, our teeth is going to follow our upper lip, so we're going to add another curve. So if the mouth is open, looking up at the tooth, we're not going to draw the line straight through. The same process, just indication of where the contour of the teeth wide, and then taper smaller and smaller. Okay. Darken the underside. We're going to put a little shading so it looks like that the tooth is under, not the whole tooth, just a little bit above. And then now that we have that, to make the teeth stand out even more, the inside of our mouth is a hollow area, so we're just going to show that by shading. Shade that dark, come back and darken the edge of the tooth. each tooth one by one, and we can darken that, and it helps that mouth look like there is distance of where the mouth is open. It goes down into the throat. All right. Down. All right, the curve of the mouth and the tongue. I'm going to shade a little bit on the underside of the tongue, again, to make it look round. All right, so we have a closed mouth. We have an open mouth with the dimples. Let's put that back in there and see how it's stretched out. And notice the position plays a big part in how the mouth is. But our rules are still the same. We still have a heart, and we have the two oval shapes for the bottom part of the lip. It depends on where the mouth, how the mouth is positioned. Those three things need to be there. Then we have our outer points outside of our mouth. Make sure it's centered, okay? And then what I call the dimple points, okay? Make sure both of those points are there, okay? But the rules still, traveling over each of those items will help you get a complete drawing of a mouth. Very good. So we have different expressions, but the rules are still there. Do you see the ovals and the heart? The oval and the heart for both upper and lower lip. It's still there. Even the outer points are there. So great job. All right, let's try making all three of these and see how well you do as well. You can always come back and darken it and make it more finished. Good job. Until next time.